We are in court
And he circled around,
listening to Assistant Chief Kevin Gay with the LSPD.
in order to stop him before getting to the edge, I did tase him in the back. At that point, he did fall.
Hope everybody can hear me all right.
He fell. Once his knees hit the ground, he went forward, and he went off the side of the dam. At that point, I did go over the radio immediately and update medical of the situation and diverted them to the bottom instead of the top. And they went ahead and they took him to the hospital where he was. Then he was transported to pillbox.
Give me 1 second.
Was produced. I'm not sure if he has the ability to see the evidence, Your Honor. I believe it was 1C had pictures of no trespassing sign on a stairwell that led down. Assistant Chief Gay, can you confirm that the stairway that you went down matches the one that goes downstairs into the dam?
Yes, that's the same.
Okay, Your Honor. Okay. Now, other question I had for you, sir. Now, how many people did you witness in the area when you arrived on scene that day?
When I first arrived on scene, it was just the one individual on the bike that I had looked up.
Do you see that individual today in the courtroom with you?
Your Honor, I'm going to go ahead and object on the basis of relevance.
Does defense have a rebuttal to the objection?
Just part of preliminary questioning, Your Honor. Just asking questions.
They got to go somewhere. You can't just ask questions, sir. So it's any. So far,
Your Honor, the defense is attempting to just set the scene of the incident on the 1st of August.
I believe the officer already did that when he gave his detailed narrative of the scene.
Are you asking a clarifying question, defense?
Yeah, I'm asking how many people the officer under oath says that he witnessed on location.
Helios 1 ATC, we're taking off at 723 for patrol around the courthouse.
Your Honor, the defense can move forward. That's fine. Assistant Chief Gay. So, with that being said, on the incident that transpired on the 1st of August, now you said in your statement that you told this individual multiple times to comply. Were you aware at the time of your interpretation of the individual that he maybe suffered from any form of PTSD or any kind of other ailments or anything from a mental capacity that would inhibit his ability to follow those direct orders?
No, I did not.
Okay, this is follow-up question I have, sir, is when given those orders, now you were very clear and concise that you asked him to stop. When he refused and everything that transpired, it sounds like you were compassionate. You called for medical help immediately as soon as all the events transpired through.
That's correct.
Okay, Assistant Chief Gay. So last question I have for you is, now I know that day there was a request for body cam footage. Now, do you wear your body cam footage regularly?
I do.
Okay, so you keep your camera active when you're on duty and and being actively paid by the Los Angeles Police Department?
Per our policy now, I do have my body cam at any time I'm dispatched out to a crime or a call. At the time of the event, we did not have a policy in hand, but once this happened, that's when we went ahead and took immediate action and had a policy put in place so that we're always reporting.
Awesome. Okay. So would you say that your place of employment reacted rapidly to this event? Time the defense rests with no further questions.
For the witness?
Yes.
Okay. It's your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Co-counsel Chris Parr going to cross-examine.
Okay.
Assistant Chief, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good on yourself.
I am great, thank you. Just a couple questions I want to touch up on with you really quickly. For starters, to confirm what you stated earlier, you stated that before the second time the individual was tased, you did give verbal command. Is that correct?
Yes, before the first time he was tased and the second time he was tased, commands were given.
Okay. When you filled out your arrest report regarding that, was that notated in the narrative?
It was notated, and I don't have the report in front of me, but I know that it was notated in my use of force report, which is required at any time we use any weapon to stop a suspect.
Understood. At the time that you first observed the plaintiff, before you came into contact with him, were you just simply patrolling?
I was.
Okay. I want to fast forward a little bit to yourself and Wire. How would you classify your relationship with Wire?
I mean, he's a colleague and a friend.
Okay. Would you happen to know why he left the San Andreas State Police?
I cannot.
Your Honor, the defense objects to that.
It goes to building character of the other officer at scene.
Well, I mean, I can't.
Hold on. The
say-
witness can wait. There's been an objection made by the defense. And plaintiff, what was your rebuttal?
Rebuttal to that goes to building character of other officer on scene.
Does his character have anything to do with him performing job duty?
Just because we are also looking into the fact of inaccuracies into the original arrest reports on both sides. So this character could help us either validify those inaccuracies or potentially dispel them.
Okay. So I would suggest at this point to ask pointed questions in relation to former Trooper Dwyer's character as a law enforcement officer versus his personal character outside of work, as his law enforcement character does have relevance, whereas his personal character has no bearing on this at all.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, moving forward for just a second on that. Going back to before you made contact, you stated that you were in a chase under oath. Could you clarify that if you were in a chase before making contact with the individual, or did you engage in a chase with?
I engaged with the chase with the individual the moment I got to the bottom of the steps and he noticed me.
3216 to 3102.
Okay, before you originally made contact, though, there was no chase.
User
there was
joined
no
your channel.
So guys, y'all will be hearing the radio a little bit.
Okay.
I just have my radio on.
With the
So
individual.
y'all over here out there, so the officers can.
Okay, understood. So I want to ask about use of force. It is common knowledge that the use
3102.
of force continuum goes through the usual steps:
disregard.
verbal command, physical strikes, taser. The question I have for you is: are you aware of what a taser does to the human body?
I am. I've been tased myself. Every officer is that carries one.
So during the second interaction where the individual was cuffed, can you articulate if there was a threat that the individual posed that made you feel as less than lethal force was necessary?
Yes. Although the individual was cuffed, I did not have a chance to search him yet. And as I stated in my report, but again, I do not have that sitting in front of me. He was wearing known gang colors that we have had interactions with, where officers have died before.
3480 mug check.
5x5.
Because of that, I did not
3480, show myself, and 3216 and active 1012, known as Union 1, unless any objections.
I was not sure how my safety was going to be with this individual running away. So my choice was to use my taser.
So to confirm, if an individual is cuffed, do they have the potentiality to be able to pull out a weapon on?
Yes, if you have a weapon tucked in your back, it's easy to pull a handgun, which I found on the individual out the back of your belt. All you have to do is point it, and you just need 2 fingers to pull the trigger. You can
Okay.
have a knife on you. You can have a needle on you, which has drugs.
Okay, so I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm finished.
Okay. So I do want to ask this: were you aware of the surroundings of the individual at the time that you tased him, being that he may have been on the edge, possibly falling off, getting ready to fall off? Should a taser be deployed and render him essentially motionless for a period of time?
To be honest, the scene was not 100% secure because when I did engage in a foot pursuit with this individual, there was 2 bikes there, but only 1 person. So I was under the assumption that there was another person on scene. And in order to stop this individual and be able to search the rest of the scene, yes, I do believe that it was okay and right for me to use the taser to stop this individual.
Your Honor, I'd request that the witness does answer the question as far as if he was aware of the surroundings of the plaintiff at the time that the taser was used.
The witness will answer the question as it was asked.
I mean, I'm not understanding what he means by surroundings.
3101 to Helios 1.
Outside, cars around. I don't understand what you're saying.
Go for
Were you
Helios 1.
aware that there was a possibility of the plaintiff potentially falling
I'm
off
gonna turn
the
the
edge
radio
of
off,
the
guys.
cliff or the
That
edge of
way y'all
any
can
other footing where when you tase him, he would have that potentiality?
When I tased him, I was under the assumption that he would stop before falling off the edge, which he was running towards. I did not think that he was going to fall over the edge.
Okay, if you had known that he was going to fall off the edge, would you have deployed taser?
Objection.
I'm not sure.
Hold on.
I can't do.
Witness can wait. Hold on. What is your objection, defense?
This is leading. It's what could happen.
I would like to be the one to point out that officers are tasked with making split-second decisions, and these are questions that are also often asked, not only during civil suits, but internal affairs discretionary investigations in a manner to establish articulable, reasonable basis for the use of force.
I would ask that the plaintiff ask pointed questions in terms of the relevance. Yes, you are correct that law enforcement officers are needing to make split-second decisions involving life and death, but remind the plaintiff that while they are highly trained officers, they're also human beings and can be they're not infallible, such as counsel. You're not infallible either. So,
Of course. Again, why I was asking the question is just simply because it helps to point towards the officer's discretionary judgment.
Your Honor, the defense feels the reason for the objection is the officer called for medical in the description in his report. That showed to me and hopefully the court that it's compassion and care for the work and the individual at the incident.
Would like to point out that that was after the fact, and that objection has not only changed reason, but at this point has no relevance to the question that is being asked.
That he was going to fall off the edge from the result of my taser is what you're asking me?
Yes, sir.
No, I would not have.
Okay. Your Honor, plaintiff has no further questions for this witness.
does defense wish to cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Assistant Chief Gay, you stated earlier that when you were coming down the stairs, when you witnessed Mr. Blanco, and you said you noted that there was 2 bikes on location.
Yes.
Was the owner of the second bike ever founded on the location?
No. After the scene was being processed by 2 detectives, someone came back to the scene and shot both officers, and one of the bikes was taken.
Sorry, guys. I was fixing my mic.
Do you believe that the person who took the bike on location was the original owner of the bike when you first made initial contact?
Objection. Relevance?
Sustained.
I would,
The
The witness does not need to answer.
the defense has no further questions.
All right. Witness, you enter the gallery again.
Just to move to defense evidence.
All right. Let the record state that no one has any witness, and you may move on to evidentiary.
Okay, Your Honor. Let me just get my files in order here. All right. Excuse me, Your Honor. Per the evidence that was given on the discovery trial, in Exhibit 1C is founded a white no trespassing sign on the gate. And per the disposition of Assistant Chief Gay, that is the gate that he went down, and when he made contact with Mr. Blanco, which then initiated the
What's my brother?
activity,
Y'all
the illegal
reclaim
activity observed by the officer.
Fraternal. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Also in Exhibit 1D, it shows the room in which the 2 bikes were found, which were was described at the bottom of the staircase, just to further solidify the location being in a no trespassing zone.
Excuse me.
Okay. So based on the evidence I'm seeing here, especially the Exhibit 1D, you're stating that bikes were found inside that room?
Your Honor, yes, the bikes, that the drivers or the gentleman on scene were inside of that room, and the officer stated that one of them, Mr. Blanco, was working on one of the bikes in that room.
Okay. I do not see any bikes within the exhibit.
Oh, Your Honor, this wasn't an on scene. This was after the fact to just show the scene and where it was at.
Do we have any evidentiary photos showing that the bikes were in there?
If you're asking if we have any evidentiary photos showing crimes happening in the moment, no. At this time, we do not, and the body cam footage was not currently implemented in full strength across the department at that moment as well.
Okay. Is it not policy for most law enforcement, or actually all law enforcement agencies, to secure the scene after crime has been committed and take evidentiary photos?
Your Honor, that may be the case. Today's trial is not regarding as far as operating policies within departments. It's just simply to agree or disagree to pay a sum amount of an incident that did occur.
Objection, Your Honor. It is, however, relevant in the manner of determining whether or not a policy was violated by officers on scene in the handling of our client as well as the crime scene itself.
Plaintiff is correct. Defense counsel.
Your Honor, as far as the location of where the crime happened, both officers noted in their reports that this is where the crime was concurred. I know there was a follow-up with the investigation of the crime scene, and at that moment, 2 detectives were shot by an individual returning to the crime scene and retrieving one of the bikes that were in the garage. I'm not sure if maybe that had any implications within the proper protocol here, but unfortunately, there was bloodshed during this process.
And I'm not being dissensitive to the detectives being shot and that sort of thing. It just kind of makes it difficult to give credibility to officers' reports when there's unfortunately no evidence to support the statements that are being made in that regard. So I would implore the LSPD, if they do have evidentiary photos, to produce them to the court and also to the plaintiff counsel if they do have them.
Your Honor, with all due respect, how are trials ran if there's no photography available or body cams? I mean, it's done off statements, which both witnesses were brought to the stand and sworn under oath and verbally stated. You know, the assistant chief of the Los Santos Police Department verbally stated under oath and in his report that he witnessed a gentleman on that location.
And I'm not refuting the validity of Assistant Chief Gay's report and his testimony this evening. It's just more you're making a statement stating that the bikes were in there, and while no photo evidentiary hasn't always been the case, including body cams, within the court systems in the United States, we do have the technology, available at this point. So, again, if there is evidence available showing with the statements being made and that sort of thing, then it can help the defense case to lend credibility, additional credibility, to the reports and the statements that have been made by the law enforcement officers.
The defense understands, Your Honor. I'll move forward.
Okay.
So moving onward, with what was submitted and requested within the petition of this civil trial, as it stands, the Los Santos Police Department would be willing and able to cover within the medical expenses, but due to with the evidence that is in Exhibit 2A, 2C, 2B, all concluded within the arrest of Mr. Blanco. He was found with objects and items that he was not to be in possession of illegal. He was arrested on the moment. I'm not seeing where the wrongful arrest was taken into place. So the Los Santos Police Department wouldn't be comfortable with agreeing to that. As far as the wrongful use of force, the officers trained in the moment. At the time, I know with advancements, things are made, but they were giving a lethal weapon, a nightstick, and a taser. The officers deploy their tasers. They're not willing to accept that.
Your Honor, I'm going to go ahead and object to the fact that this is an evidentiary discovery session, and the council is discussing settlement at this point, something that had already been discussed previously.
Your Honor, where the defense is trying to lead to, I apologize, plaintiffs. Where I'm trying to lead to is with the evidence that was sustained within the discovery link, within the exhibits of 2C and 2A, the reports, I believe, everything that would be needed to support the cases within those. I have no further questions at this time, or no further evidence to input other than the discovery meeting. If any other evidence comes to fruition within the bikes, I will admit that to the court and the plaintiffs to decide if that is to be used.
Okay.
Thank you.
Plaintiff and defense, are you ready to move to closing arguments, or look back for another session?
The defense is ready to move.
Is plaintiff ready for closing arguments? Anytime, sir.
Plaintiff is ready for closing arguments, sir.
All right, go ahead and give your closing statement.
Yes, sir. So as you, so today, as we heard from multiple witnesses, there was definitely some, misjudgment of everything. Unfortunately, this did lead to my client being hurt being, having medical bills, a bunch of other things that have happened, more emotional distress, more PTSD. We just wish, honestly, Your Honor, we just wish that, that my client receives compensation for everything that have happened to him. And like I said, he is willing to work with LSPD, to kind of pursue further the training of officers on the proper use of force, especially after they've already been handcuffed. With that, like we mentioned, Your Honor, we are willing to drop down our pricing of certain items to make it more not just beneficial to the client, but also to make sure that we don't want to bankrupt LSPD or anything with the high amount that we were initially asking for. So we are willing to work in regards to pricing. With that, I have no further comments for closing remarks.
All right. Defense, you can give your closing statement.
Your Honor, the defendant, or the, excuse me, just take a sip of this water. Your Honor, the, at this point in time, the,
User in your channel timed
it was
out.
clear that Assistant Chief Gay arrived on scene with Trooper Dwyer. They did their jobs that day. They checked out little things that didn't look right, and they did their jobs.
User joined your
accountability
channel.
is a huge part of the police force. As far as with the accountability goes, the two gentlemen that were involved that day did what they thought was right. As far as compensation, the reason why the Los Santos Police Department doesn't feel compelled to compensate to the extent that they're requesting is simply due to the fact that two gentlemen went and did their job that day. Mr. Blanco was found to be committing a crime, was found to be in possession of items that was listed on his arrest report that he was not to be in possession was, and does have a criminal record. Although the Los Santos Police Department does take a very strong stance with mental illness and PTSD, to be a active member in society and to be able to interact with individuals within this city, in the county, or in the entire state, you must be able to follow simple guidelines within that civilization. Obeying law enforcement, regardless of your demeanor, is a requirement within any civilization dating back from millions of years. It's required that you obey your law enforcement. The commands were given by the police officers multiple times to avoid any and all implications that happened that day. And unfortunately, due to the inability to follow those commands that would have led to a very safe and simple interaction, was transpired to what it became due to the actions solely of Mr. Benjamin Blanco. The defense has no further input for the closing statements.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may be seated. All right, so as I will be adjudicating and ruling on this case, I will look at all the evidence as it has been submitted. I am going to ask for additional evidence from the Los Angeles Police Department. If you could please forward to my office and also the plaintiff, the body cam SOP as it relates to this particular instance, and when that policy went into effect. I would remind plaintiff counsel and co-counsel that this document that you're receiving should be considered confidential. It is not for public release. It is also not meant to be shared with your clients and that sort of thing. I don't want to necessarily give it some kind of a classification like secret or anything like that, but these type of policies and procedures don't necessarily need to be disseminated to the public at will, for the simple fact that unfortunately it allows unfortunately criminal individuals to find ways to circumvent policies and procedures that are made in good faith for the protection of everybody, including the law enforcement officers and the public in general. With that being said, if I require any further comments, any additional evidence from both the plaintiff and or the defendant, I will make that request through my office. And with any evidence that I do request from either counsel, that needs to make sure that that gets forwarded to the other counsel as well. Once I have come to a decision and make my ruling, we will schedule trial to go over that, and any compensation, if it is warranted, will be discussed at that particular point in time. Nothing further at this time. Again, I will reach out to both counsel when I've made my decision, and we will get time to discuss that here within the courtroom. I have nothing further. Court is adjourned.
You got up like a slow roll.
We'll just see.
You got up like,
I was tired. My legs was hurting.
slow.
All right. Court is adjourned.
Be advised, courtroom is clear.
I'm back at channel.
2001 back in channel.
1419, same traffic.
User joined your channel.
$32.16 to B102.
Fourteen 1420.
3102, 3101.
3101, send it.
Are you out in by the reception desk lobby?
Hey, firm.
Coming out now.
Union 2 to Helios 1.
Go for Helios 1.
We're gonna go ahead and clear off of this and head back up.
10-4.
I don't know where he was going.
Will be 10-7, 10-42.
Alright, guys. That'll do it for tonight. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you like what you see, come on down and join Live Action RP. The link is in the description if you're on my YouTube channel. If you guys need any more information about us, just hit us up or stroll down through my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk at you guys later.